So I want to start this off with a little memory lane moment. Okay? So if you look right now and it is March of 2024, scroll back 4 years ago to basically this exact time period when the world all of a sudden was talking, was shutting down, and was experiencing what is now known as COVID. So I was obviously mentoring, had our podcast. I was all in service and of who I was at this time. And that was right at the beginning of, my remembering who I was becoming. And, at that time, it was, for me personally, I just lived in a whole different world than everything that was happening outside of me. And I just knew so strongly that someday we would come full circle on everything that happened then for now. So if you look at yourself right now, let's just go back to those 4 years ago. How were you feeling? What were you fighting for? What were you scared of? What were you experiencing? Did you experience any of that symptoms, whatever that energy was specific to you, and what choices were presented to you in your life then? So at that time when I was mentoring, like I was saying, having Nights with Coco, having all these people come to my house and putting on these events and mentoring, one of the biggest themes that I heard from the people that were in my world and, that I was seeing was this was hitting people so hard to make a change in their life. They started to almost click and be like, what am I doing? How am I living? And lots of that awakening energy happened back then. Then there was a whole different category, and you could have been part of it, where maybe you went into fear. You didn't even ask yourself any questions of why you're making the choices you're doing or why you're doing what you're doing. Whatever it was individual to you, it's going to make sense now. So if you just breathe and just reflect, where were you 4 years ago in this exact same month when all of that energy was presenting? So imagine that all that we walked on there was what I would call the last, 4 years. So about 3.5 to last summer, we literally walked and embodied what I would call the experiment of the program. Okay? So however that resonates for you. You, us, humanity, we literally embodied the program. We lived it out. We lived it out really good. We did exactly what was being shown to us, what was asked of us. And you can see in your own personal choices, your own personal experiences, what you chose, what you went through, and then now you're landing here. So why this is so important is because what happened, in March of 2024 was the back end of the truth that's happening now. It was the back end of the truth which was happening now. So notice, as I share in previous videos, in the greenhouse video, if you go back to the seed activation one where I'm wearing the green sweater, go and watch that if you haven't watched that to understand the basics of the greenhouse. The seed inside of all of us is activating and waking up. Where are the symptoms showing? Chest, throat, back, spine, lower back, head pressure, head stuff, congestion. Everything right here, breastbone, right below your breast if you're a woman, above your belly button and up. Yeah, take that in. So the seed back then was trying to sprout, but it got compressed down so that we would walk what we just walked on a humanity level to be ready now. So how I'm seeing it is literally like a clock, okay? So if you look at a clock, like an old school round clock, and the time's on the front, and then on the back, you have to wind it up, there's the batteries, whatever it is, that's what happened. So 4 years ago, we were on the back end of it. We were experiencing the winding up. We were experiencing the changing of the time on the front. We were, pulling out and getting new batteries. We were literally so focused on the back end that literally no one, not a lot of people, could feel the front. So breathe. It's so exciting now to be here because guess what? We know gigs up. Everything you walked is to get here. So I'm going to teach you so much today. And the first thing I'm going to start with is the understanding of the greenhouse to the factory so that you can understand what I just shared. So the greenhouse, we are all born into the greenhouse, okay? We are born into these bodies of form. Some point in your linear age, you lose your memory that you are a seed, that you are a light, and you live out your body of form life. It's not bad, it's great. We're here to remember who we are, to awaken, to have this whole journey. Now, our demographic, so people who are, I would say, 55 and below right now are breaking the lineage of 3 generations up. Okay? Anyone 55 and up is breaking the lineage of 2 generations. And then anyone that is 15 and below gets to have potentially a different timeline all around. Only 1 generation if you are the generation that's breaking it. So things are happening. So when you move into this body of form, you live in this greenhouse. This greenhouse is your personal state of being. So really, honestly, I'm gonna repeat some of the things, but you are kind of in a globe. It kind of looks like the Truman Show, however you wanna see it. And in this greenhouse, this is where you have your wounds. This is where you develop your stories, your own personal fears. You have your own lineage. This is where illness is created. This is where all mental illness exists. In the greenhouse, you literally have anxiety because you fucking know that you're in a greenhouse and you're like, get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out, but you don't know how. This is where, we experience what I would call fake sun. So if you're somebody like me who love to tan in the tanning beds, that's why, because it sustained us, it helped us in the greenhouse. If you're always chasing the sun, if you wanted the heat, like if you were searching for that, summer just fucking made you feel alive. This is why you live in the greenhouse. Greenhouse is literally like family lineage. It's you come from the same seed and you're spread out in the greenhouse. The greenhouse is focused on why. The greenhouse is focused on directions. The greenhouse is focused on, you got a pack of seeds and literally you just follow the directions. You think about it, you do not feel. Okay? And then imagine the greenhouse, your own personal greenhouse, has a loudspeaker all around the dome, and that is your ego/program. So that loudspeaker knows your wounds, knows your fears, knows all the things that you're scared of, and it fucking screams all the time. And you just rebuild another greenhouse. You just find a partner, create a life, and then it's 2 greenhouses that become 1. You reproduce, wash, rinse, repeat. Okay? Got that concept? Got that visual in your head? You really, most people in greenhouse life really have a hard time going beyond just what the greenhouse embodies. What they embody, what everybody around them is doing. They definitely cannot, even believe that anything more is possible for them. It's just greenhouse life 101, coping, that type of thing. Okay? So now what also exists, and what you really need to understand within yourself is now, and there always has been, but now this plays a huge part in what is happening, there's factories. So just breathe. So a factory is literally a factory. The factory focuses on external illusion. The factory focuses on fake photos, fake fucking people, selling, sell and tell. It's like, you know, we've all lived this. I mean, I'm for sure can't speak for the world, but I know that you individually have experienced this at some point in your life when you logged on to, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, social media throughout the years since it's begun, and you've looked at it and you've been like, oh, well, that person's like living their dream life. They're good, all the things. Meanwhile, they're dead inside. Meanwhile, they're about to get a divorce. I used to say to my ex all the time, I used to say this all the time because he had a friend who we knew that their marriage was falling apart, and they were constantly posting on social media, constantly like, you know, saying how much they were in love and all these things. And I kept saying to him, I'm like, the sign of a good relationship is no sign of it all. That's not always the case, but you get what I'm showing you. Is if you're posting and you're showing and people are showing all this, that's the factory. So you can look at it on your social media where it's like, here, buy this bag, buy this, you know, do this. People are influencing. It's all this like consumption, more. And people like aren't even feeling into why they want to consume. And amazingly, for my journey, I literally was the factory. In my life, I had a fashion company and I was the one selling the hoodies. I was the one, you know, trying to change it from a greenhouse perspective, but then the factory got me, and the factory really tried to get me to pump shit out, to fucking make these millions, to go against everything that I wanted to do. And for a portion of time I did it. And that is what caused me to really, really almost die, literally, because I did not understand myself. I did not know where I got off track. I did not know, quite frankly, why I was doing anything I was doing at that point, because I was chasing the success. I was chasing the external dollar, and my wounds were fucking bleeding, and I was chasing that sense of like wanting to be loved and seen in success. And upon further work, there was like a huge wound where I wanted my ex to appreciate me and people to see me and believe in me. I could go on. So my greenhouse slipped into the factory. So here I am. If we use me as the example, Coco's sitting in her little globe with her wounds, her stories, her fears, my anxiety all of a sudden, my depression all of a sudden, whatever it is individual to you, and the factory fucking got me. Shit. So now I'm in the factory, so you see it as a round circle and then a square box around it. And my seed is so fucking buried at this point. And I know, God, I know that I was here for more. I'm trying to create these companies. I'm trying to empower women to love themselves. And then the factory's like, bitch, get some fucking more photos out. Fucking do this, do that. You know, illusion, consume, success, money, you know, all these fucking things are just coming at me. And there was one point when this started, okay? It took probably about 4 years of me being in the factory to realize that I was in the factory. But there was one point that I would like have language. I remember calling my ex at the time saying to him, hey, like, do we still have benefits? Like, I feel like I'm fucking dying. Is there somebody I can talk to? Is there something that I can do? And I never understood myself, and I could just see myself in that moment calling him. And what was I doing? I didn't realize this at the time, but I'm sharing it so you understand there's a little side door in the factory. The factory side door is where there's reproduction manipulation, there's seed manipulation, there's control through pharma, there is literally control, there's fear, and it's like a sheep side door where you go in there, you're so fucking terrified, and you feel so shitty that you go into the factory side door looking for factory help for why you feel the way that you feel. So just take that in, because we've all done it at one point in our life, and some of you are sitting in the side door right now, or the side room. And how you feeling? Individual to whoever you are, you're sitting in that side room because you're seeking help outside of you, but it's the factory helping the seed to literally dim it back down. I didn't get help. I didn't go and do anything. I just raw dogged it, basically. But if I would have gotten put on antidepressants. Something would have been given to me. Whatever the case would have happened over there to try and get Coco's seed pushed back down, so that I don't remember, so that I don't become a creator, so that I don't feel free, and so that I just literally exist. Because what is factory life? Factory life is existing. It's robotic. Take that in. It's robotic. It's unconscious. You do not know why you're doing the things that you're doing. You're searching. You're taking whatever the world is telling you in the factory to intake, and you're trying to survive and live your life from the external and totally ignoring the internal. So if you're wondering where you're at in your life, this will help you. When you're in the greenhouse, you are aware of yourself a little bit. Things are, medium, I'll call it. Medium. Your life isn't bad, your life isn't great, you're comfortable, you're content, but you realize that, you look at other people or you look at yourself and you don't necessarily feel alive for sure inside in the greenhouse. How could you? You're living in the globe. Everybody alive has these moments or these trajectories where the factory pulls you in. A lot of people get pulled into the factories with marriages, with relationships, with jobs. Big ones are relationships. Something specific to you, you'll see it, where you left your greenhouse globe in your greenhouse life and you went for a little walk and you plunked your greenhouse into the factory. Mine personally was when I started my fashion company. I was over in my greenhouse for a good, maybe year and a half, 2. And then 8 years out of the 10, I started to get deeper and deeper and deeper into the factory and struggled so fucking much. But because the factory keeps you stuck and keeps you on this loop of more fear. I don't know what I'm going to do without X, Y, and Z outside of you. You forget yourself. So then, as you forget yourself, that's where the side room / side door all of a sudden's like, hi. And you're like, well, I guess I'll go in there and, try and get pregnant, or I guess I'll go in there and see what they have to offer. And then a lot of people just literally get stuck over here in that side room. And that's just a very big space of, just my favorite line that I've heard recently, like, woe is me. And that's where a lot of people get like really activism-y. They really like have their flag, their badge of honor. They're trying to be seen. They're trying to get people to see them. They're standing for something over there because they're in the fucking side door. They're in the side room. And they know they are. They're just hoping that somebody's going to see them and help them out or believe in what they're doing in the side door, which there's no good or bad here, so that they're not alone over there. So, just process all this for a moment. If we now go back to what I shared in the beginning about COVID, now that I've shared this so you can understand, COVID, the seeds were always going to awaken in the greenhouse, which is about to happen in the next few days and is already starting to happen for a lot of people. So what does that truly mean? It means that the globe that protects the greenhouse is dissipating and falling down. Breathe. The globe is dissipating and falling down. So now all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of beautiful flowers and seeds that have never in their fucking whole existence lived outside of the globe. While the factory is sitting right next door. So look at COVID. We did the back end of this. So all of a sudden COVID happens, and all of a sudden the factory is loud. It's fucking saying all the things. It's creating all this stuff, and every freaking seed and flowers like, shit, oh shit, now what? Whatever was going on individually. But humanity-wise, that's what majority of people were doing. If I use me as an example, and I can giggle about it now, I was like, cool. I did not alter. I never had fear. I never made any choices that were not from feeling that entire time. Unknown why. This is why. So if you were somebody, and again, no judgment, who did not get a vaccine, it's because you stood in your greenhouse and you felt. You were not swayed by a factory. You were not swayed by this factory side door. You were not scared. There was something inside of you that knew, I'm not gonna, do that to my seed. It's not a bad thing. It's an awareness of how you got here and how you've lived. So the factory is awesome to me when I look at it from now. Look at that factory. It fucking just rammed the show, did it not? All the external illusions, all the photos, all the stuff. Coping, survival, anxiety, robots. And that side room, oh my God, it got a lot of people in, did it not? A lot of people chose that side door. And then notice, in the last few years, a lot of people perhaps have had that inner conversation with themselves. Maybe not publicly, because people don't want to talk about it publicly because they're scared. And look at yourself individually with this information and just giggle with yourself, because that's all you can do. And have compassion for, the information that was in front of you at the time. And there's no judgment whatsoever. But isn't it funny? In such a beautiful way, when you understand what has now taken place. Because the factory wants your seed to not grow, to not remember. So, as this globe and the Truman Show is now coming down, like I shared, all these flowers and all of this and all these seeds are all of a sudden seeing the sun for the very first time. They're outside of this globe and they're like, what the fuck is happening? And it might take years. I don't have an answer for you right now. But what's going to happen is all these flowers are now an uncontrolled greenhouse. All these seeds are now, going with the wind, pollinating, and all the things are happening. It's going to move around the factories, and then eventually it's going to move into the factories and take it over. This cannot be prevented. It is a humanity thing that's happening. We're just cleaning up now. We're cleaning up from the greenhouses going into the factories. We're cleaning up. So I have a whole bunch of really, really great kindergarten diagrams to share, but I want everybody to just sit with that right now. And just take it in however you're seeing it, however it's resonating for you. And just seeing also that a lot of people are feeling these like inner pulls inside of themselves to move. Now, what you need to understand is it might not even be just like moving to a different town or a city. It might be a different location within your town or city, okay? And the reason why you're feeling these moves is because of this greenhouse falling down and you needing to be in a space where you can have real sunlight, organic soil, not factory controlled, farmed, AI farmed factory, okay? So if you're feeling the pull to move to a different location, whether it be specifically where you are right now, listen to yourself. It's not going to make sense to the logical mind, okay? It's almost gonna seem fucking crazy if all of a sudden you're like, in my world, I have a lot of people feeling the pull to move over to Greece where I am. And I am just here to mentor and support them for that decision because I know exactly what's happening, because they're trying to leave a space that is now turning into a full factory energy. So their greenhouse, their seed is like, get me out of here. I need to go where I can grow. I need to go where I can become. I need to go where I can create. I need to go where I can sustain. And I'm not sharing this so that you're like, oh, fuck, like, where are these places and spaces? Like, am I all of a sudden going to be in the factory? No. Because your seed, if you listen, will guide you. So again, I have to repeat, if you live in a city and you live, say, in the Northwest, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm really feeling pulled to move to the far Southeast, listen. There's a reason. And your seed is telling you. Because sometimes, I'm not going to say sometimes, majority of the time when we are living our greenhouse / factory life, we stay and make choices on the location in which we live based on the decisions from the greenhouse and the factory. Okay? So just look at yourself, because you've been hearing things and feeling things, but labeling it as your dream life, or, I'd really love to live on an acreage, or I'd really love to live, X, Y, and Z, or this is how I want to live. I want to grow a garden. I want to, be more outside, or whatever it is that you're hearing, but you push it down, and you tell yourself that you're losing it or you're not possible for you. That is either the greenhouse or the factory talking to you. Listen. And I want to share this little story that is like really actually emotional to me in this moment as it's coming to me to share this to you. And it's a beautiful little segue into kind of the graphics and stuff that I want to show you. And look at, I'm already getting emotional about it. Is my life has been very, very magical, and I hope to be able to share the story of how I got to this moment of now properly one day, and how everything has been leading to this moment of now, and my whole entire childhood, all the people that I love so dearly in my contrast life, people who taught me so much about myself in the greenhouse and in the factory. And, I think we all have those moments. But I want to talk about trusting yourself, and I want to talk about listening to yourself, because unknown to me, I did a really good job of it. And, I came into this body with full conscious memory until the age of 6. And then right after 6, and this moment I'm going to share, is when I was wiped. But before I got wiped, I dropped myself, a marker, we'll call it, to remind myself to keep going, to trust myself, and to really believe in myself, even though the world, let's be honest, was definitely going to dim me and think I was fucking crazy. And, I always beat it to my own drum. So the seed has and will be the foundation of my life's work and humanity's work. And it's the truth of so much. So when I was 6 years old, I can see it right now. And I grew up in a small town of about 500 people in rural Saskatchewan. And I was walking with my classmates, and there's this little street on the way to the community pool back onto the school. And there was a teacher in front of me, and her sister had just died. And I remember staring at that teacher, thinking about her sister who had just died. And all of a sudden, I looked down. And don't forget, I was 6. Okay, I was 6 years old. And at my feet, in rural Saskatchewan, with no rhyme or reason, with all my classmates who had walked before me, in that straight line, I found this. This was at my feet. The seed. And what's so crazy is Jackson, who I mentor and helping him remember who he is, 2 summers ago, tattooed what we call the kindergarten tattoo on me. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's very much everything about the seed. And if you flip it around, which I can't right now, it shows you all that. And he had no idea. He downloaded this. Me and him didn't even know what any of this was. So today, for the very first time, I'm 40 years old, and I literally have no personal belongings. When I broke up with my ex, he ended up keeping all my stuff, and no blame to him, but all of my childhood pictures and everything stayed with him. And then my parents had a house fire in that exact same year, and I lost all of that was there. And then when I moved overseas, I am down to 1 bin. And can you believe it, that this made it from all of that? So I felt really compelled to share that with all of you, because it matters, and it shows you that, there is more, and it's happening. And before I got wiped, this was there for me, and I've held on to it through all the cities, all the places, all the things, all the times I should have lost it. And this is the very first time actually in my entire life that I have put it on. So it is here right now in its purpose. So feel that with me, because this is the seed inside of all of you. And we do not have to live this way anymore. And there is, so much beauty in what's happening, but you just got to do it. You just got to do it, and you got to understand yourself. So I thank you for allowing me to share that with you, because it really, really means a lot to me, and I hope it impacted you. So I really want to talk about pollination. So let's just switch gears and everybody just take a breath. And the energy has really already started ramping up here to this globe now falling down. When that falls down, and as it's falling down, all of a sudden everybody's portals are activating. So again, it's in the previous video that I did that you are a portal. So since you've watched it, you might be seeing how all these energies are coming in. You know, my daughter called me this morning and she said, oh my God, I was getting dressed this morning, or she's in the United States. I was getting dressed to go on a date tonight. And all of a sudden I heard like the old version of me. And she's like, and then I started like embodying you and how I was dressing and what I was doing. So then just quickly on the phone, I got some imagery. I was teaching her how to understand and close off her portal. And, you know, I'm able to help people take them in so they can see the imagery. And she just all of a sudden takes this like huge deep breath and comes back to me on the phone. And she's like, holy fuck, I'm back. I feel so much clearer. And I'm like, yeah, you're taking shit on. And, you know, I met her when she was 12, and she and her brother showed me in the early days of life in the greenhouse and what it feels like to take on everybody else's energy. And it very, very much comes off in the world as mental illness, as nonverbal, as depression, as anxiety. No, you're just a living portal. You're just a portal, okay? So now the pollination is happening. So the pollination is really, really, really life-changing when you understand it. So again, I have some kindergarten graphs for you, drawings, Coco Special over here. So as you can see, this is you, okay? You're beginning to sprout. So imagine this is you, it's on the top of your head. Okay, this is who you truly are. Now, as you can see, all of the flowers and seeds in the greenhouse, this is starting to collapse and they're starting to pollinate, okay? Humanity's starting to pollinate. So as they start to pollinate, because we've always been doing this, obviously, that's nature, right? Pollination. In the greenhouse, you've just been pollinating in the greenhouse, so you've been taking on 70 to 90% of other people's energy when you're living in this greenhouse. So take that in. That's why you feel the way that you're feeling. So when this collapse, now it's like free in the wind and all the things. So it's less hard, it's harder to identify if you're not aware of yourself, because in the greenhouse is just your state of being. You just say you're tired, you're depressed, you're whatever, all the things. But now what's happening is this pollination is moving, it's dropping in. And if you watch the previous video, or I think I actually might have the graph for you, here we go. It's moving in to your flower and then moving down into your body of form, so you are taking on the pollination. Okay, so let's just take a moment so that everybody can understand and click with this. When the pollination is moving in the wind now because the greenhouse globe is collapsing, that pollination is harder, until you understand yourself, to identify, because it comes down into your body of form, and all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck? Why did I just do that? Why did I just say that? What? Why am I like looking at this show? Or that's something my mom would say. Like, I literally feel like my mom right now. Or why am I, you know, just having this thought or this feeling? Or everybody's individual, where they can like literally be in the room and like seeing, you know, someone making supper, or they can get the feeling that somebody's doing something. That's this. Okay? Pollination is fucking annoying. Straight up. I can't sugarcoat it for you. because I have lived this way my whole life, and obviously for the last 7 years. So I can mentor and help you on this like no tomorrow, but it takes work when you first start to identify it to be able to close your portal, your flower, so that you're not pollinating, taking on the pollination, okay? So this language, this diagram should help you understand. So if you're feeling the motions and these things, yes, of course, we all have our stuff and you need to do the work to clear that. But as you get more and more and more clear, this pollination is going to hit you. It's not a scary thing. It's an understanding of yourself. That's why we do the work, so that we can be a clear flower and feel ourselves and create our reality and this beautiful life that we're here to live. That's why people come and get mentored and have sessions with us, so that they can clean out themselves and create their life and understand themselves. No longer does the pollination then hit down to your wounds, hit down to your victim, hit down to whatever it is that you personally have, and stop you from creating your dream life. It's so amazing. Honestly, I don't know how the fuck I did the work to get here, and because this is easy. This is so easy. How I came up and what I needed to go through, and a lot of people, that I mentor and beside me, what they had to do to walk and be in the program. Oh, it's so easy now. And it's so amazing, and you can change your life and understand yourself so fast. But it's my dad's, favorite line: if it burns in you bad enough, you'll find a way. What is he talking about? He's talking about the seed inside of you. How bad do you want to be free of all this and understand yourself, and a byproduct, break the lineage, break all the stuff, and be able to not be a victim to this, not be a victim to the greenhouse, not be a victim to the pollination, rather understanding yourself as the flower, the seed, and the light that you are. And also, let's be real. How badly do you want to get out of the fucking factory? Because all I see, and I don't know, I think I need to re-watch this movie, but it's like Mike Wazowski. Isn't that like Monsters, Inc.? Like, I feel like we can all agree that like Monsters, Inc. life is just not it. There's so much more. So I also have this other, amazing kindergarten drawing for you of what I just talked about with the greenhouse going into the factory and the side door. So maybe this will help you understand visually what I was just sharing, okay? So again, sorry. One day I'm gonna be, maybe I'm not, maybe this is just who I am, better with my graphics. Okay, greenhouse, okay? As you can see, it's starting to collapse. Got it? Starting to collapse. Okay, so it says wall, globe, falling away, seeds are wide open, okay? Seeds are gonna start living in the uncontrolled greenhouse, awakening, integration into their true soil, and feeling free, okay? So that's all this. Now, if you see the factory right there, and it loves pollination, okay? So why does the factory love pollination so much? Because then it can get the greenhouse into the factory and control the seed. It can control you. And then once you're in the factory and you're all of a sudden feeling like shit and not understanding yourself, disease, illness, sickness, whatever the case may be, oh, there we go, our little friend, the side room, where it controls the seed, fear, all the things, okay? So as I shared the back end of COVID, here we go. Let's just look at it. Kindergarten, I just love it. So just take a look at that. Now, as I also shared, see, living in the uncontrolled greenhouse, that's all going to start moving and taking this over in, you know, the years to come. That's what we're here to do. So just really take that in and understand that. And know that even though it might seem like this isn't what's happening, it is. It is. And just giggle as you look kind of around at people you know, maybe even yourself, and seeing how there's a lot of this like upper body, back stuff going on. I was talking to my dad on FaceTime the other day, and this is a really good example. And we're chatting about my garden flower that I'm building and all the things, and he's just like hacking up a lung. And I'm like, Dad, your seed is trying to come out. Like, let your flower bloom and get some sun. You know, he's just making jokes with me. And I just kept watching him as it was moving up. And then again, to share with the, you know, the signs that are so strong right now, whatever those signs are for you, okay? There's like external signs that are just showing you what's happening. He all of a sudden says to me, there's a co-op calendar on the wall, and he starts flipping over to it, and he says to me, Coco, this reminds me of you. And I said, oh, like, let me see. And he shows me this abstract gardening painting, and the title says Back to the Garden, March 2024. So feel that, because this is my dad who feels me but has no idea of what is really going on, but his light knew, and he showed me that, and I'm like, oh, it's so amazing. When you're aware and you're clear, you can see all the things that are showing you to you. You're finding all the people. Again, you're listening to me because I'm your sign. I'm your sign, as was people for me. And the real question is what do you do about that sign? Because your seed is activating, and wherever it is in your body, if it's out, whatever, what are you going to do about it? And how are you going to understand yourself so that you can be perhaps what I'm being for you right now to someone else? You can be the example. You can live a life beyond your wildest dreams, whether it be, you know, in a city, in a rural center, you know, in an island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea like me. Your seed is beyond what you can imagine. And as you can see, the factory really, really knows the importance of this seed, knows the capacity of this seed, and also knows what's happening as this seed awakens and activates in this period of now. And you know, we're literally 3 to 4 days out of a moment in time that humanity has written about in, we'll call, the prophecies of things. And it has been tried so many times to get back to this beginning and in this way. And we truly are here. And you just need to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and just kind of have that little chuckle with that knowing inside of you, being like, holy shit, I forgot who I was. I forgot how unreal I am. I forgot that there has been signs with people, places, things, objects my entire life, and I just would brush them off because I was so busy in the factory or the greenhouse, wherever you can see yourself, just doing your thing. But in those moments of your life when you dreamed, you know, when you had that small moment, maybe you're driving in your car and you're dreaming about a life that seems unattainable to you, or you're dreaming about something that you'll do once you retire, or you're dreaming. That dream is coming to you because it's already happened. Take that in. Dreams are not by chance. Dreams are realities. And they've already happened outside of the greenhouse. Dreams have already happened outside the greenhouse. You are here to create your reality, and that comes from within, and it comes from overriding any type of fear, doubt, and hesitancy. And when you understand yourself energetically, you are going to be so fucking mind-blowing at what changes for yourself, what changes for your children, what changes for your life as a whole. And of course, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Everybody has their own individual stuff where it's like, oh, okay, I have to like walk through this, or I have to walk through that. It's not comfortable at times, but it's no longer the way that the factory tries to get you to do it, or the greenhouse tried to do it. I came up in the last 4 years in the greenhouse to embody it, to understand it, to do the back end so I can help you do the front end easy. You don't have to do it the greenhouse way anymore. You just have awareness of things. You apply it, you take action. It's so easy. You're clicking with me because I am you. We are all the same. We all come from one original seed, and we got the seed back. So where are you? See where you are, and it just isn't. It's neither good nor bad. Understand this pollination to give you language so that you are no longer feeling like something's wrong with you, that you're fucked, that you need to be labeled. It's not it. It's literally pollination. It's literally energy. All the kids, in the school system and all of that, just imagine them as beautiful little flowers. They're getting pollination. So if you're a parent and you're noticing things within your kids, there's no better time to start understanding yourself so that you can help and understand them. Because if you look at your life, your childhood, your upbringing, you've been portaling, you've been taking on people's energy, you've been living in this greenhouse your entire life. You didn't understand your wounds. You didn't hear that megaphone ego program talking to you, but now you're starting to. We have the opportunity to make this world what we came here to do individually. We can't save the world. We can save ourselves. And a byproduct of that, we live free of the factory. A byproduct of that, we understand how to have conversations and live clearly with people who are still in the factory. It's not a good versus bad, it's an understanding of oneself. And there is no judgment for, the old imagery that I call it, the floor on which people live. It's specifically an understanding and an embodiment of who you are, and a consciousness and an integrity in which you hold. And a byproduct of that, you just impact by just being yourself. So just breathe. And the last thing is just do not forget. And I love this so much because in my early work, right from the hop, it would always come through in sessions and stuff, like to drink a pop or to have candy or sugary or whatever. And so many people were always so sent by it and being like, oh my God, pop, McDonald's, like whatever. And I just want to share it because in the greenhouse, the foods you eat, everything that you do is all, the greenhouse and the factory is all coming from a recipe on the packets of the seeds. But when you really start to listen to yourself and you eat the foods and do the things that your seed wants, and that you, as the beautiful flower that you are, you sustain, you glow. You are alive from the inside out. So I'm not saying you need to have pop candy and McDonald's, but I'm saying that if you have feelings to eat and do things a certain way, why aren't you listening? Because the packet on the seeds is trying to get you to dim your flower. Anyone who knew me in my previous life and who knows me now, there is a severe and an extreme contrast, okay? There's just, it just is very different. But what just went up a level with it is the fact that I literally, in 5 years, have not made one single decision from fear. I have not made one single decision from not understanding and listening to myself. So if it is 7 a.m. and all of a sudden I feel this like overwhelming feeling inside of myself to have a Coke, I don't let myself not have the Coke. Whereas before, in the greenhouse, oh my God, are you kidding me? I would have had a narration and a story so loud that I'm fat, I'm unhealthy, all the things, all that stuff. And I really, really, really did the work to listen to myself and then see how my life unfolded for me, and not keeping myself in this box and constantly shooting myself in the head and giving the middle finger to myself. I started listening over and over and over again. And now it's like literally nothing externally sustains me. Nothing. We get to reverse age. We get to sustain off the sun, the air, the soil in which our body now is. When you clear yourself out, when you understand your wounds and when you understand yourself, your soil changes. And your flower gets to grow and sustain beautifully. See? Beautifully inside the truth of you. So it is my absolute honor, whoever you are, wherever you are, to be here with you. And thank you for being you, because you truly do matter. And you're growing, you're becoming, but most of all, you're remembering. And what you're going to do for the remainder of your time in this body of form, when you get truth and serious with yourself, is going to blow your mind. Because let's be honest, this was always going to happen this way. We just had to get to today.